So Vivian, do you want to start us off? We'll go down the list.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vivian Jing. I'm working at Career Services as a career management lead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ricky Paniagua. I am the director of the International Student Center working in international affairs.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Isidro Cervantes. I'm the associate director for HR operations.
And my name is Rachel Hart. I use she, /her pronouns. I'm the administrative coordinator in the Center for Inclusive Excellence. And we just want to say thank you so much for being here for the hiring international students and building a global workforce at SDSU. Go ahead, Isidro. So this is our land acknowledgement. You may have seen it in the past. You may have heard it before. We always like to remind our community to kind of think about how they're taking up space and how they're engaging with others. And so definitely our office is centered on inclusive practices and helping y'all kind of put those into your regular daily practice, and that kind of being a way to honor the land that we're on at SDSU and to honor the Kumeyaay as well. And another way we can do that, if you could advance the slide, is to think about our principles of community. And so these are not exhaustive. There are a lot more, but there are just a few that we'd like to highlight. So making sure to promote that culture of inclusion where all are valued. Respect the right of every individual. So in the spirit of advancing knowledge, right, and conducting that respect and conduct that respects dignity. Valuing our differences, right? And so you can see that a lot of these things are the basis for the programming that we do in the CIE and the program we're going to be doing today. Appreciative of the service of our students, faculty, and staff, and embracing a culture of excellence. And so we're going to get started. Go ahead and next slide, with a student's journey to working with you. And I'm going to hand off to Vivian from Career Services.
Thank you, Rachel. Hello again, everyone, and thank you for offering this opportunity and allow me to introduce Career Services. So it starts with a job posting, right? So start with a job searching, but you got to post your hire information, where to post on campus. If this is the first time you hear about Handshake, and, I would like to really just, enforce on Handshake account. It's the combination of Glassdoor, Indeed, JobScan, and LinkedIn. So it's actually a mini version of everything on campus that allowed our partner throughout the campus, outside of campus, to post hire information and allowed students to search on campus. So how do you know, like how you might just ask, how do I post on Handshake? And this is my first time to hear about Handshake, right? So no worries. Career Services, we are here on campus to support you. And I talked to my coworker, Patricia Nieves, and she also goes by Patty. And Patty is really, really just, like a welcoming and say, don't worry, just refer them to me and let me check for the Handshake access. So in that set, you might already have Handshake account access as a campus unit hire manager. You just don't know if you already have that one, right? So please check with Patty. And I also put her information over here is a hyperlinked. And just, say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm from, College of Business, and I want to check if I already have Handshake access to allow me to post this hire information. So, and also, we all play a double role, right? So you are hiring manager, you also are maybe, a faculty member, program director, program advisor. So when you talk to students about hiring, finding a job on campus, you always encourage them to complete the file, complete the profile on Handshake. So again, each students already had Handshake account if they enrolled at San Diego State. Okay, next, please. And also, as a hire manager, hire unions, and please understand, the major does not really always determine what they do, right? So of course, for some STEM major, for some CS major, if you really need somebody just write the code and run some program, of course it is. But oftentimes, for example, if a student's majoring in international business, you might just think, like my department has nothing to do with international business, right? Or econ, or marketing. However, think about the transferable skills, think about the soft skill. So each international students, they bring a unique value to your department, to your units. And they also play a critical role and build up this like a nice connection and bridge between your units, your office, your department to another international student and scholar on campus. And also please remember, Career Services, we always here to support you as our community and campus partner, co-worker, and also we support our students on campus. And we can just support them to, review the resume, the cover letter, help them to do the mock interview. And also if you post your hire information, your position, opening position on Handshake, we can always help students to search that higher information and just screen in and help students to understand what this position asking for, right? So understand that prior to they submit the job application, if this is the best fit for them. So each of us, we play a unique role in this individual, a particular international students on campus. And remember, it's really already challenge for international students to find a job on campus, off campus. But we play a mentor, we play employer, hire manager. We also play a unique role in the future career pathway. Thank you.
So once you've kind of identified who you would like to invite to the interview, that's going to be their first kind of actual interaction. So they've looked at your job posting, they've read about your department, and now you're going to create this interview space for them. And so one recommendation that we might give you is that when you invite them to the interview, you can let them know that Career Services has some resources for them. Resume reviews might be beforehand, so you might put that in your job posting, but also mock interviews to help them prepare and not feel so nervous, right? But we're really thinking about giving grace and equal access to all of our students on campus. So recognize that their internet access or strength might dictate that they are doing an interview maybe at a table somewhere on campus. So there might be people passing by. There's no judgment there, right? Explain the process. Make sure that any student understands what to expect in the interview, whether it's beforehand and also right at the beginning. You also have accessible interview questions. And what I mean by this is you might consider providing all of the interviewees when you invite them the questions you're going to ask. Also, as you ask them, especially in a Zoom space, you can put them in the chat. If it's in person, you can literally hand them the questions, right? So that they can look through those, and giving them time for their questions. If you just think about any time you've ever been in an interview, it can be very nerve-wracking. And our students are sometimes doing this only for the first or second time. And so if they happen to forget, like if you have a two-part question, maybe they forget the second part, go ahead and remind them, right? And making sure that you give that opportunity to all the students. And so as you might be able to tell, these recommendations are not just for international students, which is the basis of inclusive practices. They're good for everyone, right? And so let me see if I had anything else. Oh, if you could go back one, sorry. So also part of the time for their questions is time at the end of the interview to allow them to ask questions about the job, about your department. Make sure that they can have their voice heard in that interview process. And just a reminder to provide the kind of interview process and opportunity that you would have liked to have received yourself. And now you can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in and talk about what the onboarding with HR looks like. And then just to provide a little context, so at this point, you've already identified who you want to hire. But stepping back a bit, we want to make sure that just in the spirit of inclusive practices, we're not inadvertently screening out our international students, which can provide great value to us through the job postings. So for example, we can ask if they have work authorization to work in the United States. We can't explicitly say we don't hire international students. That's a very exaggerated example, but that's something that could potentially detract students from applying for these roles. The one thing we will say is work study funding. If your department exclusively uses work study funding, international students can't be appointed using those funds. So if you have non-work study funds that you're able to use, or if you can request non-work study funds to be able to hire international students, that would be a recommendation. So note that international students have a unique classification that we need to appoint them on. And so you don't want to get to the point where you're ready to make an offer, and now you have to work with a budget office at the campus level or through your division to set that up, because that's just going to further delay the hiring process. So best practice that we have for all of you is making sure that you have a position number dedicated and set up beforehand, so that when you do want to hire an international student, if you're able to, that you have that ready to go and you can go ahead and just directly appoint them. So after you've submitted the student employment authorization form, and I will say that's the state side's process. If you are with one of our auxiliaries, you want to follow your respective auxiliaries HR process. We will assess requirements, whether that be background check, the I-9 process, etc. And we will send an email to your student that you'd like to hire with those next steps. And then if needed, students have to initiate a process to apply for a Social Security number. So that is a requirement for onboarding with us, and it's also a state requirement to be able to generate pay for them. And Ricky will talk a little bit about what that process looks like and why it's important to queue that up and make sure that we allocate enough time for that.
Thanks, Isidro. So yes, just discussing the unique experiences that international students have. So if we go to our next slide, we'll discuss some additional requirements. One of them primarily being the requirement for applying for a Social Security number. In most cases, when international students are hired, they have to go through a process of validation with the Department of Homeland Security, and that involves the ISC team members who serve as designated school officials with DHS to submit that the students have arrived and met all those pre-check requirements for their immigration status. And that usually takes about 10 days, especially when they're newly arrived in the US, for the systems to kind of all sync up and update. So the Social Security Office does validate that they've been registered, cross-referencing the information that we report in the systems that we use. It's also important to note that if we do that too soon, it can cause some delays. It can make processing an SSN take 60 days if we do some sort of mis-sync alignment there. For our continuing students who have been here, most of the time they've been here at least for one semester, and then they get hired. That process is a little bit more seamless just because they've had that time to validate presence. But just do know that there is this extra step that's required for them. So please be patient with them if you've selected them as the candidate to be hired. And then if we move on to our next slide, there's additional requirements. So the ISC, again, access those designated school officials. So we are the ones that provide them letters of evidence that they're able to work on campus with your department. The other thing that they need is a wet signature job offer letter. And in most cases, the Human Resources Department provides that to the students. In some instances, some departments offer that as well. Just kind of depends. Sometimes they get both. In either case, that job offer letter does need to be a wet signature. So once they have those documents, they're able to submit an online request to the International Student Center, get that verification letter from us. Our processing time for all requests is a maximum of 7 business days. Um, for our letters at the ISC, per federal regulation, we are allowed to digitally sign documents, and so they accept those as part of their processing. And then if we click to the next section, we'll see that step 2 involves applying at a Social Security office. So Social Security offices now require that students set up an appointment in advance and that they take the required documents to the appointment to then validate presence, get that cross-reference checked of the databases, and then have processing of the SSN. One of the biggest things I want to underscore is that the Social Security card appointments are very impacted just due to changes in federal policy, administrations, and so they are impacted. Some appointments not even available until December now, and we're in October. So do know that that is a delay. Unfortunately, that's out of their control. But again, hopefully, if we're providing that patience, giving them those opportunities, then we can work through those things. And then in our next group of slides, we just want to talk a little about how we help support that by recognizing what our roles are. And I'll pass it back over to Rachel.
Thank you. So I think just to underscore what Ricky was talking about and to go back to what Ricky had, Isidro had also mentioned, if you have those positions already created, you're not adding to that timeline, right? So our international students have a couple extra steps. Their hiring process might be a little bit longer. And so thinking about your hiring timeline is really important, making sure you have those positions created with HR, which usually include both for during the semester, and then also don't forget those bridge ones if you do have students working through the summer, making sure that you have both types created ahead of time. And so really kind of reiterating, finding that value in the differences of perspectives, of majors, of their skills and ambitions, equal access as well as giving grace. My general mindset when it comes to hiring student assistants is that this is practice for them. It's a learning experience. That's what they're on campus for. If they are first years, they are not going to have that super robust experience that you might find in typical jobs. And so this is the opportunity for them to learn how to use that Sharp machine, the G Suite, right? How to actually build customer service skills, things like that. So actually allowing them to learn those on the job with you is really important. And then really just being transparent every step of the way. And again, these are best practices for all of our student assistants, which also would include those international students. And then this is mentorship and skill growth opportunities. So Vivian, did you want to talk about those?
Sure. Thank you, Rachel.
Mhm.
Yes, Career Services, we always here to support our students and also our campus partners, right? So we are located at Student Service East 1200. If you never know, we're hiding in a little corner, but once you know where we are and you know, we cannot be missed. And also remember handshake, right? So the handshake is the tour to the higher units and also to the students. So, and handshake bring that unique opportunity, connect you and students, including international students. And we a team of 5 career counselors, we support our students. So if you feel like, okay, so I really cannot do this, but I cannot review your resume before you know, like prior to your application, even though you know this international students, right? You just refer them to us and we are here to support them. And also we have, you know, a lot of programs and events such as, you know, like online workshop, in-person workshop, like Resumenia, and also, you know, how to professionally elevate yourself. And also we invite employer come to career services and talk to students and also career fairs. And if you department, your office feel like, you know, we just want to, you know, present this hire information to all students. You can post your hire information on Handshake, and also you can tabling at one of our career fairs. It's free. So we offer this free access to all our campus partners. We just want to help you as a higher units and also support our students as well.
Okay, so the other thing we want to highlight is making sure that we're setting and managing expectations as we are considering and hiring our international students. So understand that they have unique steps to employment, being patient, planning timely, and then working with the student so that we are opening up those opportunities for them, those career pathways. As Rachel mentioned, it's a win-win situation. Our students are very bright, they're very capable, and so why not get support from them that helps all of us while opening up those career pathways and getting them some of that experience. Knowing the resources available to them. So if you or as a hiring department or the students are lost in our very complex processing but necessary processes, send them over to the ISC or to HR for support. One of the things that we help or one of the ways in which we help support that process is, for example, with the Social Security process, it's probably like a 10-step process. And so we give them a checklist when they come in to get their HR employment letter that we hand to them so that they have something physical to kind of take with them, and so that they know, okay, I've got my HR letter, I need to request my ISC letter, I need to make an appointment with the SSN or SSA, and then I need to come back to HR after that. So that's a way that we can make sure that they know exactly what those steps are, because it can be a lot of new processes for them, something they're probably not familiar with. And then, like I mentioned, if you're, as a hiring department, you're lost or you're unaware of the process, or you need to know what those resources are, we're here to help you. So reach out to ISC or to HR. We can provide a status update. We try to make sure that all of our pre-employment notifications are set up so that the department knows, okay, we received your SEA, we've sent out the pre-boarding requirements, students are undergoing background check if one is necessary, or the student is clear to work. So all of those steps, we provide notifications along the way, but if you ever have questions or doubts, feel free to reach out. And so with that, we want to open it up to all of you for questions. And feel free to either raise your hand, unmute yourself to ask a question, and or put something in the chat.